So if you watched our last video, we pointed out that Barnes is a liar. Well, it turns out that Barnes is still a liar.
I'm not a liar. I didn't lie.
Are you gonna buy this car?
No, but we're gonna build it to be a drift car. I don't have to buy it to make it a drift car. So there.
We have a buyer for this car now, and that buyer wants to do some more stuff to it.
They were going to use it essentially solely for drifting. This is going to be their drift car. We left it the way we did it, and we modified it the way we did in order to keep it kind of an open market. Someone could have daily drove this. They could have slid it a little bit. It was more of an all-around car. Now we're going to kind of switch our focus to being more of a dedicated, I guess more of an aggressive street build, more dedicated towards drifting. You could still drive it on the street, but it's going to be more focused on drifting. So if you look over here at the It's Not Christmas pile, the UPS man has been very good to us the last few days. Ksport coilovers, which we have found for the price. We've done a few sets on cars like this. They work out really, really well. We have our front upper control arms, which are going to help us adjust our camber in the front. And then we've got our rear camber arms. So that'll be able to, when we lower the car, we'll be able to dial back in our camber and get, you know, optimum fitment and optimum performance out of that. This was the only piece that was missing off of our full stilling kit on this car. So just to give you guys like a, you know, just to jog memory, I guess, we do have all Stillen parts on this car. We have the Stillen supercharger, Stillen exhaust, Stillen hood, everything, but we were noticing we were missing the Stillen balance tube. It's like an intake tube. It actually deletes the funky air box that's in there. We got Mishimoto Radiator, so we're gonna upgrade the cooling of the motor, and we're putting in a lower temp thermostat, so hopefully keeping the temperatures down. We're gonna be switching the wheels up to 18 inches. Right now, the wheels that we put on the car are 19 inches, and tires for 19-inch wheels can be kind of expensive. So for the sake of drifting and the price point that we want to be at for our tires, we're actually going to be switching to this used set of CR Kai work wheels. These ones are a little bit beat up. They've got a little bit of blemishes and stuff like that, so we're actually going to powder coat these. So this is essentially what we would consider a basic drift setup. Now, price point on this, we're actually not really adding a whole lot of money. We're only adding about $2,500 minus the wheels to this whole setup, and this is going to make this car slide amazing. So yeah. It's a control arm. On a new coilover, it's going to be very springy. After you drive it for like 100 miles, everything's going to kind of settle in. Yeah. And then there's like a readjustment period. So we'll probably be messing with this car again after these sort of break in. But this is about how much lower the car is going to be, which is, oh.
Excuse you.
Say 3 inches there probably, which is, if we look at the back, that still kind of has this stuff on there, 3 inches will put us in the ballpark. The next important thing is, and I've had coilovers come to us in every different way possible. So some of them are maxed all the way in, some of them are maxed all the way out. This one looks like we still have a few threads on there with quite a bit of adjustment to go up if we wanted to. So it's pretty much safe to assume that we're probably at the lowest adjustment that these will give us.
Start from there and then adjust it as needed.
Correct. So the next thing to do is just to, and this doesn't have to be completely scientific, but you just want to level these out and make sure that they are the same height. Obviously, from front to rear, they're two different styles, so we can't measure anything from front to rear to make sure that the whole car is level, but you can make sure that side to side in the front is level. Now, if you guys watched our 240SX video, or the 180SX video, you'd have noticed that we had camber adjustment on top of the coilover. That's a McPherson strut style car. Now this car, the reason why we're doing the whole control arm is because this style is like a double wishbone or a dual control arm, or I'm not really sure what the exact term is, but it uses a lower control arm and an upper control arm to hold the knuckle kind of in place. So what we're doing here is that ball joint that we showed you before that's sliding, that's how you're going to adjust your camber now, as opposed to adjusting it based off the coilover. If you guys watched our other video, what we tried to do, we'd heard rumors about it, we didn't really know. We tried to do the 350Z suspension on the sedan. While it was supposedly a little stiffer, it didn't actually lower the car that much. I think we only got maybe an inch lower. The important thing to know is, on all of these cars, suspension-wise, they're all identical. 350Zs, G35 sedans, and G35 coupes are all the same. So when you're ordering coilovers or any kind of suspension component, as long as it fits a 350Z, it will well fit one of these. This little guy that is suggestively sized and shaped is basically what restricts this rack from steering as far as it can.
So just to stop that the knuckle hits.
Yep, this will hit right there. This little guy hits right there and causes, I don't know, maybe no damage to the rack or something like that. Now for drifting, what we've done in the past is we've taken those out, so we are going to take that one out, and it actually adds quite a bit
of angle.
And we have not seen the side effects of that. We've had a 350Z that we ran like that for 2 years. We've had another 350Z that we ran like that last year, and we've had no issues. So it's kind of a cheap little thing that you can do. Just zip that out, and we haven't, you know, no binding, no nothing. So gives you like an extra bonus 5 degrees of angle, we've noticed. So
ooh, that is going to be quite a bit thicker.
thick.
Old radiator, new thick boy radiator. Look at that.
Thick. Okay, so if we look at this, there was, see how you can't
Can't even see through it really.
You see all the like linty crap that's stuck in there? That would have definitely caused us some issues. So thickness, big thickness. We're gaining almost what, an inch of thickness
At least.
I wonder how many times I can say thick in this comparison.
At least an inch of pure girth.
Girthy boy. Also, you know, if those two things weren't enough, we're getting rid of the plastic end caps. So because this is all one piece, in theory, it should be able to withstand a lot more. Here is the situation. We've used Mishimoto in the past and we haven't had any issues. But we also usually use those radiators when we're building custom tabs or custom tube front ends. So, a little breakdown of what we're running into here. We've got this set in its mounts below. We've got the air conditioning condenser clipped in. All that stuff's off. We did notice it was a little bit wonky. This delicious cut that I've made here, I got a little wild on, but
had to do something there for the cap.
We couldn't get the cap on and off because the cap was running into this. I mean, I probably could have got away with just cutting about that much off, but it just was so satisfying when it was going, so I just kept going with it. Regardless, we're probably going to end up switching this whole thing. This will only last one collision or one bump or one anything, so this composite piece probably isn't long for the world. So we got our rubber grommet into this side, and we got our lock placed back in there. So that's
after much effort.
We had to bend this whole thing up, which is another reason why the cut's the way it is because we had to get enough flex out of this to get this ear to stick under there. And then this ear, as you can see,
it's like a 1/2 inch off.
It's way off. It is, I mean, that should be hitting the center of that hole. We can't get the other bracket in there, and we don't really have another way to hold that in. So yeah, moral of the story is, looks like we got a bad Johnny. So we're just gonna have to come up with some kind of a creative way to
just make that not as floppy.
Yeah,
in
it's
there.
just gotta hold it. So we started at max low, which is this low, which is extremely low, which is probably way too low for what we're doing. First, we'll get the rear ones on, set it down, and then see what adjustments we need to make after that. Dan, he's our man. If he can't pump it, then we won't do it. Sorry. Oh, what do I do with my hands?
What's the sitch?
Okay, so here's the snitchy poochie motivation. These from the factory use a spring in a bucket separately from the shock. So what we're gonna do now is we're actually gonna convert the rear suspension to run like this. So what that's gonna entail is we have this bucket mount and this spring, and we're gonna get rid of the spring completely out of there. And this coilover mounts in the same place as the factory shock. We're gonna add a camber on right here. This bendy boy.
That's the one that gets replaced?
Yes, sir. And that's just going to simply push the bottom in and out, and that's what's going to adjust our camber. What is it? One side's reverse threaded. So as you do that, it extends itself or shrinks itself back down, and then you lock it with these locking nuts that's locked on the wrong side. But
now have the rear coilovers completely installed. The front ones, we took them back off. We've adjusted it 2 inches. So before we had this all the way up, so it was at like the lowest ride height. We've adjusted that down 2 inches, put the wheels back on it, see how this is sitting, and then we can adjust the rear. New adjustment, and we should be 2 inches higher. That looks better. Is that too high?
It's pretty high, but once we
It's got some bounce now, so.
once we roll it out, it'll suck in a little bit more too.
Now we'll lower the rear and see how that one's sitting, although the rear, yeah, that's that's slammed.
Yeah. I'll have to roll the fender a little, that's it. Cool.
We're kind of a monster truck.
Well, you're also, yeah, I think we,
Did we raise the front too high?
no, because that's going to be good for clearance all around. I think we just lift the back maybe a little bit. So I'd say in this situation, what we're going to do is we're going to take a 1/2 inch out of the front, and we're going to put an inch in the back.
Yeah.
I have spoken. This is what we're doing right now. Because the car has camber, to get it to sit proper, we have to roll it so that everything kind of settles out.
It looks a lot more consistent from front to back.
Yeah, that's actually the perfect ride height right there. We're not rubbing anything. We're perfect on all that. And remember, these aren't the wheels that we're going to use. We'll do another episode when we get our other wheels and the wrap and the body kit and stuff that we're doing. But we can still fit a jack underneath the car perfectly, front and rear. It's low and aggressive, but completely functional. We can still load this on a trailer and everything. So that's something to be stoked about.
Last time we talked about buffing out the hood and maybe continuing this over. I think the new owner of this wants to just wrap the whole thing, so we aren't going to worry too much about trying to make this hood look flawless.
We'll probably sand it just to get the spots out of there so the vinyl doesn't look like crap, but yeah, he's just going to wrap it. So
price breakdown, how'd we do?
Okay, we did pretty good on this car. So when we get the cosmetic stuff in, we'll add that too, but as it stands right now, we paid $1,500 for the car. The wheels we paid $400 for, and we're going to be doing $400 in powder coating on those. Ksport coilovers on Amazon were $850. The upper control arms I think were $100 for the front, and I think they're $100 for the rear too. The radiator was $280. We had to put a battery in it. We had to do belts, battery belts, oil change, coolant. That's probably like $250 right there. We're not into this car that much at all. And we have an extremely capable, very track ready machine for, you know, whatever.
It's got a freaking still and blower on it.
Yeah, the blower's on there. We got the hood, the exhaust. We put the still and intake pipe on there too. I forgot about that. So that's probably like another $100 right there. But it's a full, complete car. 136,000 mile supercharged G35 with all the bits it needs to drift. So that's pretty exciting stuff. Now we just need to finish the cosmetics on it and take it out and see how it does.